How do you go from a video game master to defending the shores of America and America's allies? Well, you do what Dwayne Felix did, and you join the US Navy and then G.I. Joe. Let's talk about G.I. Joe's Rampart. Thanks for watching JLS Comics. Hit that subscribe button so you can keep up with all of our weekly content. And with that out of the way, let's jump right into this story. Dwayne Felix was born in New York, and Dwayne spent his early, formative years playing video games, both cabinet games at the arcades, as well as console games at home when those finally came out. With a natural yet abnormally fast reflex response and an exceptional hand-eye coordination, Dwayne was quite gifted with a controller in his hand, quickly mastering every game he could play. When not glued to a screen, Dwayne also used his finger skills to work as a musician, specializing in playing tuba, at least according to a prototype file card of his, that is. His video game skills translated well to the military after he enlisted in the United States Navy. So he likely went to A school at Naval Station Great Lakes, followed by C school for advanced training in his rating, where he carved out his NEC specialty as a fire controlman. But in the G.I. Joe world, this doesn't mean he was hyper-focused like a certain system tech. It means he mastered everything. It means he would have trained on command and control systems like the ACS, that's Aegis Combat System, along with RMA systems like the Array Navy Spy series from Raytheon to support a variety of gun weapon systems, rolling airframe missile platforms, harpoons, Sea Sparrows, Tomahawks, the R2-D2 Sea-Wiz, and the Mark 41 VLS, and even how to work on, repair, and control ship self-defense systems as a whole, interpreting technical data systems and system maintenance telemetry. He'd have trained on older Block 1 and Block 2 Terrier and Tartar weapon systems using SPAR for coverage and engagement estimates, as he'd have gone through training just after the Talos missile system was decommissioned in 1981. Interestingly, based on his file card specialties, Dwayne probably also went to ADA school when it was still at Fort Bliss by way of a joint branch program, and that's where he learned how to use that missile his action figures come with. So he's rated on both short-range air defense and high to medium altitude air defense platforms, which is also why you'd see him in a variety of vehicles racking up kills in the Deke animated series. In fact, his Sea-Wiz skills would prove beneficial and translate to his CRAM training. I wouldn't be surprised if he did ADA Top Gun School with the Patriot missile system too. Dwayne excelled in plotting fire solutions quickly and getting locks on enemy tangos, which allowed him to rapidly rack up a lot of kills and earn him the highest combat success ratio in the Navy's 7th Fleet. According to one file card, Rampart, quote, gets his jollies seeing a Cobra heatseeker explode just before it hits the target, end quote. Rampart was given liquid crystal lenses that interface with his weaponry. And one file card notes that no one has ever beat him in a target shooting match, and with help from the lens interface, has already fired and detonated all of his targets, even as his opponents are still calculating fire solutions and thinking about what to do. He truly embodies General Wainwright's first to fire motto. After this, Dwayne was recruited to the G.I. Joe team, where he took on the codename Rampart and leaned into his specialty as both shoreline defender and air defense artillery missile specialist. According to the Ultimate Guide to G.I. Joe, some of Rampart's U.S. pre-production names included ideas like Airburst, Deadline, Groundfire, Checkmate, and even Counterfire. Rampart first appeared in the Real American Hero Marvel Comics comic book series with issue 115. This was the issue where Ghost Rider and Slipstream were on a covert recon mission over Benzine with the Phantom X-19 stealth fighter. Ghost Rider had a top-secret op ord from General Hawk to snap some photos of a terrordrome in Benzine City that was launching firebats, a clear violation of international agreements. But on the way, they were intercepted by a Rattler, so Stealth Pilot and his Wizzo used the emergency coordinates in their mission orders to shake their tail without violating their mission profile, and those coordinates took them right over the coast of Benzine. After a burst from the Rattler's nose cannon, the Rattler's port turbofan engine was hit with a missile. Turns out that on the ground, in the brush and coastal vegetation, in and around the dunes were G.I. Joe's Backblast and Rampart. Rampart had driven the pair there in a Hammer, avoiding all the Benzine and Cobra checkpoints along the way as they navigated their way through the desert to their post. And as the Rattlers splashed down, Rampart and Backblast high-fived each other, saying they were a righteous team and that they're high-speed, low-drag, and good to go. The pair's critical contribution to that mission allowed for the Phantom's vital flyover and a successful mission. And that was it for Rampart's Marvel-era AR-AH series. In the Devil's Due era, Rampart was on a mission in South America with Glenda and Hardball when they found Big Boa and Asa Negra brutally murdered at a remote Cobra outpost in the jungle. But as soon as they discovered the gruesome scene, Red Shadows showed up and gunned them down too. And many years later, Rampart showed up at Snake Eyes' ceremony at the pit after Snake Eyes was killed in a confrontation with Serpentor during IDW Publishing's AR-AH era with issue 214. And so now back with the team in the Hamma Panda G.I. Joe series, Rampart was deployed on a recon mission outside of Silent Castle along with Bomb Strike, Recoil, and Ambush. And again, that was it for Rampart's comic book appearances. Voiced by Ian Corlett, Rampart's first animated appearance came in an episode called United We Stand. His gimmick here was speaking in video game terminology. Corlett, by the way, also voiced Goku for Dragon Ball Z, Mega Man, Nagahide, also in the Deke series, Inferno for G.I. Joe Extreme, and even Duke and Wild Bill for the G.I. Joe Operation Blackout video game in 2020. So in United We Stand, Rampart was with Gridiron and the team, treating Salvo, who'd been knocked out with Cobra Commander's behavior modification gas. Cobra Commander was going to launch a battery of missiles against the world which contained his gas unless the world paid him $50 billion. Rampart's first words were, "Yeah, that's crazy." But it was this comment that prompted Cobra Commander to activate Salvo's programming, where he jumped out a window and stole a retaliator to return back to Cobra Commander's base. Rampart then called Ambush, who was still in medical, to tell him that Cobra ordered all active duty Joes to stay inside the base until Cobra got its money. And Rampart was the one to tell Ambush that both Ambush and Pathfinder, while in sickbay, were technically not active and therefore not beholden to that house arrest order. So Pathfinder and Ambush discovered that Cobra's plot was a bluff, and they called Bullhorn to tell him. The Joes then rode out for an attack, and when Metalhead's flight of Cobra fighters banked in for an attack run on the pit, Rampart, atop the pit, used his weapons to take out that volley of missiles, and Rampart was firing and cheering about how he got a big score, and he managed to single-handedly take out an entire squadron of Cobra Hurricanes for that high score. He somehow has a magic auto-reloader and tons of missiles to launch. I don't know where they come from or how he carries them, but they always show up. The Joe team then grabbed Rampart with a Retaliator tow hook, and they flew off to take out Cobra's missile battery and rescue Salvo, Ambush, and Pathfinder. And for the assault, Rampart drove a mobile battle bunker, and when the wall of the stronghold was breached, Rampart was part of the unit to storm the base, taking point for the hallway attack. In that same hallway, though, they were hit with a gas attack and under Cobra Commander's control for a brief moment until Pathfinder and Ambush, who were wearing gas masks, forced Cobra Commander to order the gas antidote deployed. And then Cobra Commander was able to escape with the help from Nagahide, so Cobra Commander got away, but the Joes saved the $50 billion and their teammates. In Granny Dearest, Rampart was on the Joe team who confronted Metalhead on top of a moving train that Metalhead was attempting to hijack. And then later he was part of the Joe team that was clustered around the General, though he said nothing for that mission. Victory at Volcania began with Rampart at Club Joe on Volcania Island for some rest and relaxation, spending the time playing football with the team just before Cobra attacked with their Operation Longbow, a rather simple plan that involved lava-powered space guns. But unlike his weapons readout, when Rampart dove in to attack Gridiron, he missed and planted his face right in the grass. And then whining, he called Stretcher to help him out. But after Cobra attacked, Rampart then rallied with the rest of the team to make their way to what they thought was a super secret airfield on the other side of the island. Cobra knew about it, and they attacked again from the ground and the air, and Rampart and his team were forced back into the jungle, where Rampart said to Pathfinder, "We need a hole to hide in fast." And that hole happened to be some ancient ruins partially reclaimed by the jungle around them. Before Metalhead could topple the ruins down upon them, Rampart and the team jumped in a well that led to a sea cave at the bottom and a river which dumped them out onto the beach. And Rampart was then the one to point out the AAA batteries on the rim of the volcano. He then, along with the rest of the team, attacked some Cobra CGs, stole their uniforms, and donned their crimson gear to take the fight back to Cobra. Rampart was then able to commandeer a hammer just as Destro attacked the airstrip with Pathfinder as his gunner, but then somehow between that scene and the next, Rampart was then the roof gunner for Lady J's hammer. They kept firing away at Cobra, defeating the crossfire attack that Destro and Metalhead seemingly had them pinned down in. Rampart stayed in that gunner role as they attacked the volcano launch complex, with Salvo now as door gunner right next to Rampart. And this attack was to distract Cobra from the Joe team ascending the volcano to the summit. But their attack didn't go as planned, and Rampart and the Joes were captured by Metalhead and Destro's forces, and it was then up to the mountaineering team and an assault force from the mainland to stop Cobra and rescue their teammates. Although Rampart and the team did a good job of causing havoc inside the volcano themselves. In the No Zone conspiracy, Rampart was in the Arctic with Sergeant Slaughter and the team battling snow serpents for a mission to stop Cobra from their CFC ozone hole scheme to sell No Zone sunscreen to the world. In this firefight, Rampart launched the hoverjet off the back of Slaughter's avalanche. Rampart's biggest role came in an episode called Cold Shoulder. He was with the October Guard piloting a space shuttle to space. Rampart told Sergeant Slaughter he was ready for some meteor blasting action, and the Sarge replied by saying, "Rampart, you're making our space launch sound like a video game." Their mission was to bring a US-Russian Star Smasher satellite into orbit. "It's going to be more fun than playing Space Invaders at the local arcade," Rampart said excitedly over the radio. But just before launch, a Night Creeper planted a remote destruction box on the space shuttle. They got to orbit just as a meteor shower was passing, and so Rampart and Captain Krymov were able to test out the Star Smasher by shooting at the meteors, and Rampart, using his video game skills, took out the whole meteor shower just before Cobra activated the device the Night Creeper installed, and the shuttle was completely cut off from launch control. All comms, flight control, life support systems, and telemetry were offline, and so Rampart had to abort the mission and take the shuttle down, re-entering the Earth's atmosphere, and Rampart crashed down in the Arctic, and both G.I. Joe and Cobra converged on the crash site, both wanting to recover that state-of-the-art Star Smasher weapon. When they crashed, Rampart smashed his forehead and he was knocked out, so Krymov had to take care of him, and Krymov managed to band up Rampart's head. And then Nagahide and a snow shark captured Krymov and Rampart at the Cobra base after Krymov was forced to deactivate the Star Smasher's self-destruct sequence. Cobra let a polar bear named Attila, which turned out to be one of Sub-Zero's friends, out of its cage to attack both Krymov and Rampart. And they were about to be bear food until Stretcher, Sub-Zero, and his bear cub attacked and rescued them all. That's when Rampart used the Star Smasher inside the base to take out a whole line of laser vipers too. In the episode called Injustice and the Cobra Way, Rampart was with Captain Gridiron and the team to protect the US Constitution from being stolen by Cobra, and together on a nearby rooftop they shot down the first wave of parachuting laser vipers. But they were quickly overwhelmed when more paratroopers floated down, now obstructed by smoke bombs. Rampart and the team held the front steps of the National Archives while another Joe team battled the Night Creepers inside the building. And then after that, Rampart appeared in a handful of other episodes, but really had no speaking lines, but we did get to see him on the General or Flying a Retaliator, or even again in a Hammer in episodes like Night of the Creeps. Rampart's first action figure hit toy shelves in 1990, where he was noted as the team's Shoreline Defender and came with his rifle and missile launcher. Shoreline Defender, but he was never boxed with a Coastal Defender. Curious choice. Seems like a missed opportunity if you ask me. He also stood out in a different way. Well, maybe stood out isn't the right way to phrase it, but at the time of his debut, G.I. Joe was getting more garish and outlandish in their colors and their mission statements with their sub-teams and neon colors and extremeness. So in the middle of all that came Rampart in his muted tones, which were more suited for a beach in Kuwait during Operation Desert Storm than with the rest of the new releases. In Brazil, for the Estrella release as well as for Argentina, Rampart got a red missile and brand new card art, which included some bright green gators, and here he was called Commander Rajada. And then in Belgium, he got a release where his name became Bunker, and in French, his name was Anti-Missile. And then in 2018, Rampart got a V2 figure that was part of the G.I. Joe Collectors Club figure subscription service. This version came with a lot more accessories than the previous did, and his specialties were now listed as Fire Controlman and Air Defense Artillery Specialist. This Rampart came with a Stoner 63 and an XM307 Advanced Crew-Served Weapon, which is a 25mm belt-fed automatic grenade launcher, along with his anti-armor rocket launcher. No wonder it's called Rampart. That's a wall of lead and destruction no one can get through. Speaking of getting through, we've gotten through the story of G.I. Joe's Rampart, which means that's a wrap on this one, my friends. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and you'll be one of the first to know when I upload videos just like this every week. I'm Jesse, this is JLS Comics, and I'll see you soon.